Now, what are the Chicago Bulls going to do before the trade deadline? Because you keep hearing Zach Lavine, here's some DeMar DeRozan, possibly.
Why am I paying bad players for us to be mediocre?
The rumor of Zach Lavine and his potential departure from the Chicago Bulls has been going around for months now. It seems like things are heating up and a separation might be closer than we think. Will the Bulls gear up for a major trade shakeup, or will they stick to their guns and work on improving their current roster? Remember, back on November 14th, 2023, Shams Charania dropped a bombshell about Zach Lavine and the Chicago Bulls. So, apparently Zach and the Bulls were eyeing a separation. Yep, you heard it right. Neither Zach nor the Bulls shouted it from the rooftops. Nah, it was more like a subtle nod and wink situation. But hey, everyone covering the team could smell it in the air. Trade request alert. Why was Zach itching to pack his bags, you ask? Well, he was fed up to seeing the Bulls play the losing game. He couldn't envision a future where they'd come out on top. And you know what's worse? When Zach hit the court, it was written all over his face. His lackluster performance, missed plays, and zero hustle were so apparent. The poor guy was practically counting down the minutes until he'd bid farewell to the Bulls. And can you blame him? The team's losing streak was hitting new lows faster than you can say slam dunk. Case in point, their humiliating defeat against the Boston Celtics. Zach ended the game early due to a pesky foot injury. And his stats? Let's just say they weren't pretty. Despite Zach Lavine's absence, the Bulls are still holding their own, still keeping that winning record above the 500 mark. Let's talk numbers for a second. Did you know he's currently holding the title for the most losses in the NBA? Yep, you heard that right. But hey, it's not all on him. We can't blame him for the tough times, those boiling years, or the early struggles. That's just part of the game in the last 4 years where things seem to take a bit of a dip for Zach. It's like cruising along, then suddenly hitting a rough patch. For Zach Lavine, that rough patch seemed to linger. Now, it's not fair to say he got worse, but let's just say the trajectory wasn't exactly pointing upwards. You see, over these past 4 years, it's like there was this stagnation, a lack of that upward momentum you'd expect from a player of his caliber. It's not easy to pinpoint, but something just wasn't clicking the way it used to. While Zach may have been holding steady, the team's progress didn't quite match up. It's like they were stuck in this holding pattern, unable to break free and hit those next-level achievements. And that's where the real concern creeps in. Sure, we can't lay all the blame at Zach's feet. He's a talented player, no doubt about it. But sometimes change is necessary for growth, and maybe a fresh start could be what both Zach and the team need to reignite that fire and get back on track. Zach Lavine isn't exactly waving the trade request flag, but he's definitely got his arms wide open for one. Now, hold on, before you start scratching your heads, let's unpack this a bit. So, it's like this. He hasn't officially knocked on the team's door saying, "Hey, I want to trade," but he's totally chill about the idea if it pops up. Now here's the kicker. Nobody seems too eager to swap Zach, especially considering his hefty price tag. It's like everyone's saying, "Nah, we're good with keeping him around." And that raises the question, what's Zach's game plan here? Is he eyeing a new team, or is he just getting comfy in his Bulls jersey? The Bulls are really putting in the effort to find a new home for Lavine. It's been quite the journey so far, with talks dating back to last offseason and now circling back again. But man, it seems like they're facing some challenges on this front. I mean, Lavine's got a game, there's no doubt about that. Being an elite scorer and a former All-Star definitely makes him an attractive asset. But then there's that elephant in the room, his contract. 3 years and $138 million is no small chunk of change, especially for a player with a history of injuries and some defensive concerns. It's no wonder teams might be a bit hesitant to take on that kind of financial commitment, especially if they're eyeing playoff success. And with other players like Caruso and DeRozan catching teams' attention, it's shaping up to be quite the challenge for the Bulls. But who knows, maybe someone will step up to the plate in the off-season and make a move. We'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. It is quite obvious that Zach Lavine might not be generating as much buzz as you'd expect. Sure, there was some chatter about the Detroit Pistons possibly being into him during the winter, but let's be real, it's not like every team in the league is knocking down his door. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Pistons, they've got a chunk of change to play with in the summer, like over $50 million in salary cap space. But hey, if they're not exactly thrilled about splurging on a star in a kinda lackluster free agency class, they might circle back to Lavine. They could scoop him up without breaking the bank and call it a day. But hold your horses, because it's not just the Pistons in this game. Other big dogs like the Lakers seem to have tapped out of the Lavine sweepstakes during the winter. So Bleacher Report threw out this trade idea a couple of weeks back. Zach Lavine swapping places with Ben Simmons in a potential trade scenario. The Dallas Mavericks might toss in an unprotected 2029 first-round pick, originally meant for Brooklyn, which would then land in Chicago. Now, let's talk about Ben Simmons. The dude's been in the spotlight lately, but not for the best reasons. He's been ruled out for the rest of the season. Can you believe it? This guy's only managed to clock in 57 games over the past 3 seasons. That's wild. Despite all the drama, the contracts would still match up. Both Zach and Simmons would be pulling in around $40 million next year. And guess what? The Bulls would be snagging that sweet draft pick in the process. If the rumors are true, the Bulls should be jumping at this trade opportunity without a second thought. I mean, seriously, if Brooklyn's even considering it, why hesitate? Sure, Ben Simmons might come with his fair share of baggage, but let's not overlook his potential. Standing tall at 6'10", he's a defensive powerhouse who can practically guard anyone on the court. Plus, his playmaking skills top-notch. Yeah, he's had some mental hurdles to overcome, but imagine what a fresh start in Chicago could do for him. Think about it. We're talking year 4 for Simmons. That's prime time for him to really shine. Sure, he might not be as intelligent as Draymond Green, but defensively, he's right up there. Switching on guards and handling bigs in the paint, he's versatile, and that's a game changer for us Bulls. But hold up, the real gem in this trade, that Mavericks 2029 first-round pick. Sure, the Bulls got handed a tough loss by Dallas recently, but who's to say their fortunes won't take a turn? Imagine if Luka misses some games and they slip back into the playing tournament. Suddenly that pick's looking mighty enticing, right? Let's be real, Bulls fans, we've been all about young talent and speed. Accumulating draft picks, that's the name of the game. And snagging that 2029 first-rounder, that could set us up for some serious success down the road. Now, we know there are a lot of trade rumors for Zach Lavine, but doing the trade right now just won't help the Bulls get pretty much anything in return. Picture this scenario: Lavine's playing at the top of his game next season, making headlines left and right. Then, just when his stock is soaring, the Bulls make their move and trade him. Why? Well, it's all about strategy. By waiting and letting Lavine shine, the Bulls can boost his trade value. Right now, his contract might be a bit of a hurdle, but if he keeps putting up those impressive stats, teams will be lining up to snag him. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So see you guys in the next one. Signing off.